Cheese. Cheese is known to increase our endorphins. 7 out of 8 of you agree with me. Cheese is delicious and we can eat it on so many different foods. So let's talk a little bit about the discovery of cheese as well as the history of cheese in the United States. And then we'll move on to why cheese might be changing its name in the near future. So the Spruce Eats talks about how cheese was discovered in about 18,000 BC. Farmers in these days used to store fresh raw milk in the stomachs of animals or the organs. They were spill-proof, leak-proof. It was just easy and able to adapt to many different environments. So let's say that one day the farmer was milking a cow and put this fresh raw milk into the stomach contents, and then it started to heat up, then little curds would develop. And the other ingredient that was necessary for this to happen, that happens to be an ingredient or an element of the stomach of animals, is called rennet. So rennet would disperse into the milk, and then the heat would heat up the milk in the stomach, and curds would develop. As these curds were developed, the farmer realized that they could eat them. So once they could eat them, they realized that they could take the rest of the liquid out of the stomach contents and then smash the curd together, and cheese was discovered. So once cheese was discovered, they realized it was easy to store, and they could preserve milk as well. So once they preserved this milk, they could use it during famines and other situations where they would need food and there was a lack of food. So as this process was continued throughout Europe, in the colder climates, they also discovered different flavors of cheese, different textures of cheese. So if it's a cold climate versus a warm climate, and the different amounts of salts to preserve it in different countries and different places, then many different cheese became about. And they could use these cheese during famines, and they could store them in many different ways. So as cheese moved to the United States, it was mostly just cheddar. And we hadn't quite yet figured out how to manufacture rennet at a large amount. And in the American Dairy Science Association, they talk about how there was a progression from just cheese in New York and cheese just being manufactured in New York, but also coming up with a huge progression in refrigeration systems, in manufacturing, and also as the pasteurization of milk. Milk quality is a huge determination in our cheese quality. So refrigeration, manufacturing, and pasteurization were starting to grow immensely, and we even started to produce so much cheese that we started to export to Europe. As this happened, our main hub of manufacturing went from New York to Wisconsin, because the farming in Wisconsin was much more rural, so easy to get the milk fresh and less pasteurization. But also, we had many immigrants that moved towards the United States, and these immigrants started to request certain cheeses from their home countries. But farmers realized that exported cheeses were much more expensive and they could make more money, so they started to mislabel the cheeses so that they could sell them as exported cheeses and make more money, which I believe leads us to our final point, which is talked about in The Salt, What's on Your Plate. NPR is a huge story about how Europe would like their cheeses to only be named where they were developed, just like their wines. If it was made in Bordeaux, then you name the wine Bordeaux, and you can't rename it in a different country. I don't think the United States is on board for this, because they would have to rename all of their cheeses they've already made, but I think it's a fun idea, and we could, have fun with different cheese names and different development. But that is the topic for you to decide. Would you like your cheese to be named? And do you think we should rename our cheeses? So that was a little overview. Where cheese came from and how it was discovered, the little cheese history in the United States of being imported and exported, and what you think your cheese should be named, or if we should change the name. Thank you.